Success is something we're taught to chase. From the moment we're old enough to understand ambition, we're given a roadmap: work hard, strive, control the outcomes, and eventually, through sheer force of will, you'll get everything you want. It's a seductive idea, isn't it? That we can bend the world to our desires through effort and control. But let me ask you something: has that ever truly worked for you? Has holding on tighter, forcing outcomes, or controlling every detail of your life ever brought you the deep, lasting success you crave? Or has it left you exhausted, anxious, and chasing a horizon that only seems to move further away?
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound insights.
Lao Tzu, the ancient Taoist sage, offers us a radically different approach. He tells us something most of us spend our lives resisting: mastery of life. The kind of effortless success we all long for doesn't come from control. It doesn't come from striving, clinging, or forcing. It comes from letting go. At first, this might sound passive, even weak. Letting go. Isn't that giving up? But the truth is, letting go isn't a weakness, it's the ultimate strength. It's not about resigning yourself to failure. It's about aligning yourself with the natural flow of life and understanding that the more you push against the current, the more you exhaust yourself and the further you drift from where you want to be. Think about a river. The water flows naturally, effortlessly, finding its way around obstacles, through valleys, over rocks. It doesn't resist the rocks or try to control the path ahead. It simply moves, adapting, yielding, yet always moving forward. Now think about how most of us live. We're like someone frantically swimming upstream, expending all our energy trying to impose our will on the flow of life. And then we wonder why we're tired, why we feel stuck, why success seems so elusive. The truth is, it's not the river that's the problem, it's our refusal to let go and flow with it. But what does letting go really mean? It's not about doing nothing or being passive. It's about releasing the illusion of control. It's about recognizing that so much of what we cling to, our plans, our expectations, our need for certainty, only weighs us down. It's about understanding that life has its own rhythm, its own intelligence, and when we stop resisting it, we open ourselves to possibilities we couldn't have imagined. Letting go is not the absence of effort, it's the absence of struggle. It's the difference between forcing a door open and waiting for it to unlock naturally. Let's talk about control. We live in a world obsessed with it. We try to control our careers, our relationships, our health, even the way other people perceive us. And when things don't go according to plan, we tighten our grip, convinced that we just need to try harder. But here's the paradox: the tighter we hold on, the less control we actually have. Imagine holding a handful of sand. If you clutch it tightly, it slips through your fingers. But if you hold it gently, it stays. This is the essence of letting go, learning to hold life lightly, without clinging, so that it doesn't slip away from us. The Taoists understood this deeply. They had a concept called Wu Wei, often translated as non-doing or effortless action. It's not about doing nothing, it's about knowing when to act and when not to. It's about aligning your actions with the natural flow of life, instead of fighting against it. Think about the moments in your life when everything just seemed to click, when you were in the zone, when things happened effortlessly, when success came without struggle. That's Wu Wei. It's what happens when you stop forcing and start flowing. But letting go isn't easy. It requires us to confront some uncomfortable truths. First, we have to admit that we're not in control of everything. This is hard for us because control gives us a sense of security. We think, if I can just plan enough, prepare enough, strive enough, I can guarantee success, but life doesn't work that way. No matter how much we plan, there will always be factors beyond our control. The weather changes. People leave. Opportunities disappear. If we pin our happiness on controlling the uncontrollable, we're setting ourselves up for frustration and disappointment. Second, letting go requires us to trust ourselves, trust others, and trust life itself. And trust is scary, isn't it? It feels like a risk. What if I let go and everything falls apart? What if I stop trying so hard and I fail? But here's the irony: the more we trust, the stronger we become. Trust frees us from the constant anxiety of trying to control everything. It allows us to focus on what we can control: our attitude, our actions, our choices, while letting the rest unfold as it will. Now, you might be thinking, this all sounds nice in theory, but what does it look like in practice? How do I actually let go? It starts with awareness. Pay attention to the areas of your life where you're holding on too tightly. Maybe it's a relationship where you're trying to control the other person. Maybe it's a goal you're chasing so obsessively that it's draining the joy from your life. Maybe it's a fear of failure that's keeping you from taking risks. Notice where you're clinging and ask yourself, is this serving me? Is this making me stronger, or is it weighing me down? Letting go also requires patience. We're so used to instant gratification, to solving problems quickly, that we struggle with the idea of waiting, of allowing things to unfold in their own time. But some of the most profound successes in life can't be rushed. A tree doesn't grow faster because you pull on its branches. A relationship doesn't deepen because you force it. Success doesn't come because you push harder. It comes when you align your efforts with the natural flow of life and give it the time it needs to blossom.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound insights.
Here's another uncomfortable truth about letting go: it often feels like loss. When we let go of control, we're also letting go of certainty, of predictability, of the illusion that we know what's going to happen next. And that's terrifying. But here's the thing: the space created by letting go isn't empty, it's full of possibility. When we release what no longer serves us, we make room for something new, something better, something we couldn't have imagined while we were clinging to the old. Letting go also means letting go of attachment to outcomes. This doesn't mean you stop caring or stop trying. It means you do your best, but you don't tie your happiness or your self-worth to the results. Lao Tzu said, "Do your work, then step back." The only path to serenity: this isn't resignation, it's wisdom. It's understanding that while you can control your actions, you can't control the results. And that's okay, because true success isn't about the outcome, it's about the process. It's about showing up fully, giving your best, and trusting that whatever happens, you'll be okay. So let me leave you with this question: what are you holding on to that's holding you back? What are you clinging to so tightly that it's keeping you from moving forward? And what would happen if you let it go, not in weakness, but in strength? Because when you let go, you're not giving up. You're creating space for something greater. You're stepping into the flow of life, where true success is not forced, it's allowed. Letting go is an act of courage. It's a quiet strength, one that doesn't rely on loud declarations or grand gestures. It's the strength to release what you cannot control, even when every fiber of your being wants to hold on. But why is it so difficult? Why do we cling so tightly to things that bring us pain, to patterns that no longer serve us, to expectations that imprison us? To understand this, we need to look deeply into the nature of fear and trust, two forces that define our relationship with life itself. Is at the root of our resistance to letting go. We fear loss. We fear failure. We fear the unknown. When we hold on, it's not because we believe it will bring us happiness. It's because it gives us a false sense of security. Even if what we're holding on to is painful or dysfunctional, it's familiar. And familiarity, no matter how harmful, feels safer than uncertainty. But let me ask you, this: is clinging to what's familiar worth sacrificing the life you could have? Is holding on to the known worth staying stuck in a cycle of struggle and dissatisfaction? Letting go requires us to confront fear and replace it with trust. Trust is not blind faith or naive optimism. It's not about believing that everything will magically work out exactly as you want it to. Trust is a deeper knowing, a recognition that life, in its infinite complexity, has a rhythm and intelligence of its own. It's the understanding that even when things don't go according to your plan, there's a larger process at work, one that often leads to outcomes far beyond what you could have imagined. But trust doesn't come easily. It's something we have to cultivate, moment by moment, especially in a world that teaches us to value control above all else. We're told that success is about effort, about grit, about never letting go. And while effort and determination have their place, they're not the whole story. There's a point where effort becomes resistance, where determination becomes stubbornness, where holding on becomes a kind of self-sabotage. Trusting the process means knowing when to act and when to step back. It means understanding that sometimes the best thing you can do is to let life unfold in its own time. Think about the most profound moments of growth in your life. Were they the result of careful planning and control, or did they come from unexpected twists and turns, from opportunities you never could have predicted? Success often comes not from forcing outcomes, but from allowing them. And allowing requires trust. It requires the courage to release your grip on the wheel and let the current carry you, even if you don't know exactly where it's going. But trusting the process doesn't mean being passive. It doesn't mean sitting back and waiting for life to happen to you. It means showing up fully, doing your part, and then releasing attachment to the results. It's the balance between effort and surrender, action and acceptance. Lao Tzu put it perfectly by letting go. It all gets done. This isn't about doing nothing. It's about doing what's necessary without trying to control every detail. It's about planting the seeds and trusting that they will grow, even if you can't see the process unfolding beneath the surface. Letting go also means letting go of perfectionism, that insidious belief that you must control every aspect of your life to avoid failure. Perfectionism is a trap. It convinces you that if you just try harder, plan better, or push more, you can eliminate uncertainty. But life is inherently uncertain. Perfection is an illusion, and chasing it is one of the surest ways to rob yourself of joy and progress. The irony is that the more you let go of perfection, the closer you get to excellence. When you stop obsessing over the outcome, you free yourself to focus on the process, to learn, to grow, to create without fear. Let's talk about failure, because this is where trust and letting go are most often tested. Failure is something we're taught to fear, to avoid at all costs. But failure is not the opposite of success, it's a part of it. Every failure carries a lesson, a redirection, an opportunity to grow. When you let go of your fear of failure, you free yourself to take risks, to try new things, to step outside your comfort zone. And it's only by stepping outside your comfort zone that true success becomes possible. But how do you let go of the fear of failure? By shifting your perspective. Instead of seeing failure as a reflection of your worth, see it as feedback. Instead of seeing it as an end, see it as a step on the path. Failure is only final if you let it be. When you trust the process, you understand that every setback is temporary, every obstacle is a teacher, and every so-called failure is simply a detour towards something greater. Letting go also applies to our relationships. How often do we hold on to people who are no longer good for us, out of fear of being alone? How often do we cling to toxic dynamics, convinced that if we just try harder, we can fix them? Letting go in relationships doesn't mean giving up on people. It means recognizing when holding on is causing more harm than good, when it's keeping both you and the other person from growing. It means trusting that if someone is meant to be in your life, they will be, and if they're not, their absence will create space for something better. But letting go of relationships isn't just about others, It's about letting go of the roles we play in them. So many of us tie our identity to how others see us. We cling to being the provider, the caretaker, the achiever, because it gives us a sense of worth. But what happens when those roles are no longer sustainable? What happens when your worth isn't reflected back to you in the way you've come to rely on? Letting go means finding your worth within yourself, independent of the roles you play or the validation you receive. It means being willing to show up as your authentic self, even if it means risking rejection. The process also means letting go of the need for immediate results. We live in a culture of instant gratification where patience is seen as a weakness. But the most meaningful successes in life take time. Whether it's building a career, nurturing a relationship, or mastering a skill, true success requires persistence, consistency, and faith. It requires the ability to keep going even when you can't see the results yet. Trusting the process means understanding that the seeds you plant today may not bear fruit for months or even years, but that doesn't mean they're not growing. And this brings us to one of the hardest truths about letting go sometimes. You have to let go of your own expectations. We all have ideas about what our lives should look like, about how things should unfold, but life doesn't always match our expectations. And when we cling too tightly to those expectations, we set ourselves up for disappointment. Letting go means being open to the unexpected. It means embracing the idea that what you thought you wanted might not be what you truly need, and that life, in its wisdom, often gives us what we need, even if it's not what we asked for.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound insights.
So I'll leave you with this: what would it mean for you to trust the process? To release your grip on the need to control, to let go of your fear of failure, to open yourself to the possibility that life knows what it's doing, even when you don't. What could you achieve? Who could you become if you had the courage to release what's weighing you down and trust that the flow of life will carry you where you need to go? Struggle is something we've come to accept as a necessary part of success. We're taught that if we're not grinding, pushing, and fighting every step of the way, then we must not want it badly enough. But what if this idea is wrong? What if the relentless struggle isn't a sign of strength, but a sign that we're out of alignment with life itself? Lao Tzu's wisdom challenges us to rethink our relationship with struggle. He suggests that success doesn't come from fighting the current, but from learning to flow with it. And when we let go of struggle, we find something far more powerful: freedom. What does it mean to flow with life? It means understanding that life is not something to be conquered, it's something to be lived. When you flow with life, you're not giving up on your dreams or your goals. You're simply choosing to approach them in a way that feels natural, sustainable, and free. You're moving with the current instead of exhausting yourself by swimming against it. Flowing with life doesn't mean you stop trying, it means you stop forcing. It means you stop clinging to rigid plans and start responding to the moment with clarity and grace. But how do we know when we're out of flow? The answer is simple: it feels like resistance. Think about the areas of your life where you're struggling the most. Maybe it's your career, where you're constantly pushing but nothing seems to work. Maybe it's a relationship where no matter how much effort you put in, the connection feels strained. Maybe it's your own mind, where you're trapped in a cycle of overthinking and anxiety. Resistance feels heavy. It feels like you're dragging a weight behind you, like every step takes more effort than it should. And the harder you push, the more stuck you feel. Now compare that to the moments in your life when you've been in flow. Maybe it was a time when you were working on a project and everything just seemed to click. Maybe it was a conversation with someone that felt effortless and uplifting. Maybe it was a decision that, against all logic, felt completely right. Flow feels light. It feels like you're being carried by something greater than yourself, like the path is unfolding naturally in front of you. In flow, success doesn't feel like a battle, it feels like a dance. The key to finding this flow is letting go of the need to control every step, letting go of the belief that struggle is the only path to success, letting go of the fear that if you stop fighting, everything will fall apart. When you let go, you allow life to guide you. You open yourself to opportunities that you couldn't have planned for, to solutions that arise naturally, to a way of being that feels effortless and free. But flowing with life doesn't mean you stop facing challenges. Challenges are a natural part of life, and they're often where our greatest growth happens. The difference is that when you're in flow, you face challenges without resistance. You don't fight against them, you move through them. It's like water encountering a rock in a stream. The water doesn't stop. It doesn't try to push the rock out of the way. It simply flows around it, continuing on its path. In the same way, when you're in flow, obstacles don't stop you, they shape you. They teach you how to adapt, how to grow, how to keep moving forward without losing your center. Letting go also transforms our relationship with success itself. So many of us equate success with control. We think that to be successful, we need to have everything figured out, to plan every detail, to predict every outcome. But true success isn't about control, it's about alignment. It's about aligning your actions with your values, your goals with your strengths, your life with the natural flow of the universe. When you're in alignment, success comes not from force, but from ease. It's not something you achieve, it's something you allow. But flowing with life requires trust. Trust in yourself, trust in the process, trust in the natural intelligence of life. And trust is hard, isn't it? It feels vulnerable. It feels like letting go of the steering wheel. But trust doesn't mean abandoning responsibility. It doesn't mean you stop making decisions or taking action. It means you stop trying to control things that are beyond your control. It means you focus on what you can do in this moment and let the rest unfold as it will. One of the greatest barriers to flow is attachment. We get so attached to our plans, our expectations, our identities, that we resist anything that challenges them. But attachment is heavy. It weighs us down. It keeps us rigid and inflexible, unable to adapt to the changes that life inevitably brings. Letting go of attachment is like dropping a heavy bag you've been carrying for miles. Suddenly you feel lighter, freer, more able to move with the current of life. But letting go of attachment doesn't mean you stop caring. It doesn't mean you abandon your goals or your values. It means you stop clinging to them so tightly that they become a source of suffering. It means you hold them lightly, with an open hand, allowing them to evolve and change as you do. When you let go of attachment, you don't lose yourself, you find yourself. You find the freedom to be who you are, not who you think you should be. You find the courage to pursue your dreams, not out of fear of failure, but out of love for the journey itself. With life also means embracing uncertainty. Uncertainty is something most of us try to avoid at all costs. We plan, we prepare, we analyze, all in an attempt to eliminate the unknown. But life is inherently uncertain. The future is always unpredictable. And the more we fight against this truth, the more we suffer. Letting go means accepting uncertainty as a natural part of life. It means finding peace in the not knowing, trusting that whatever comes, you'll have the strength and wisdom to face it. But this trust doesn't come from blind faith. It comes from experience. It comes from looking back at your life and realizing that some of the best things that ever happened to you were the ones you didn't plan for, the ones that came out of nowhere, the ones that arose when you let go of control and allowed life to surprise you. Trusting life doesn't mean you believe everything will be easy or perfect. It means you believe in your ability to navigate whatever comes your way. So how do we live in flow? How do we let go of struggle and embrace the freedom that comes with it? It starts with small steps. Pay attention to the areas of your life where you feel the most resistance. Notice where you're forcing, where you're holding on too tightly, where you're trying to control things that are beyond your control. And then, little by little, start to release that grip. Start to trust the process. Start to allow life to unfold naturally, without forcing or resisting. Letting go doesn't mean giving up on your dreams. It means approaching them with a sense of ease and grace. It means pursuing them not out of fear or desperation, but out of love and curiosity. It means showing up fully in the present moment, doing your best, and then releasing attachment to the outcome. Because the outcome is never fully in your hands. What's in your hands is this moment, this breath, this choice, this step forward. Flowing with life isn't something you achieve once and for all. It's a practice, a way of being that you cultivate every day. There will be times when you fall back into struggle, when you catch yourself resisting, clinging, or forcing. And that's okay. Letting go is not about being perfect, it's about being aware. It's about noticing when you're out of alignment and gently bringing yourself back. It's about trusting that even when you stumble, you're still on the path. So I'll leave you with this: what would your life look like if you stopped struggling? If you stopped fighting against the current and started flowing with it? What would you achieve if you trusted yourself, trusted the process, trusted life itself? Letting go isn't easy, but it's the key to freedom. It's the secret to a life of ease, a life of joy, a life of true success. And the only thing standing in your way is your willingness to release the struggle and let life carry you where you're meant to go.